Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing the current vintage market. What are some of the forces suppressing it, and what, if anything, can be done to correct these issues?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Okay, so the vintage market, as we all know, it's not nosediving. It's kind of flat. Some of the older sealed stuff is kind of low, disproportionately. You can get some good deals out there right now. I have, and it's great. I'm happy with some of the deals I've been getting out there. Actually, that's why I feel like there's kind of a bottom for vintage, but that's a whole nother discussion to be had. So one of the major issues of things suppressing reserve list prices is power creep. Why do you need, older cards when there's newer ones that are just as powerful, if not more powerful? And that violates the whole spirit of the reserve list, but we know that's all BS by now because they've been doing it. Things like reverberate and whatnot, they've been testing it for years. Anyway, power creep. There's nothing really to be done aside from maybe creating a new format and starting like fresh, start making sets for a new format that are actually simplified or whatever. I don't know, like starter sets from back in the day. Like if you started there, maybe you can avoid some of the power creep or get back to basics. I feel like the keywords and activated abilities has gotten so crazy. That's a whole nother issue. Okay, so another issue, reprints, right? We know that Wizards can and will reprint anything that gets a price tag of like $5. And lately with stuff like Mystery Booster 2, they just jam in all these uncommons and commons from old sets, like Mystic Remora into Dominaria Remastered. Like that was supposed to sell the set or something. It's kind of crazy, but Wizards keeps on doing this, So reprints, what's going to need to be done? I don't know. Intelligent reprints. Think about it a little bit more. Random commons and uncommons are sometimes expensive for a reason. And when you reprint it, not only do you end up with a card that's not worth anything in the new set, right? It just reduces the value of the old one. So you end up with two worthless cards instead of one. It's like, it just is, I don't know. It needs to be done more intelligently. Okay. I like in Mystery Booster 2, though, the white border, because this was how reprints were supposed to be done originally. So if they stuck to the white border thing, I would heartily approve, actually, of that in terms of reprints, because it preserves the original more so, when you can get it. When you can get it originally in its original version, whatever, with the original border, why would you want the reprint white border? I don't know. That just seems like a way to protect the value of the original. Okay. One of the biggest problems that that Magic did recently was they lost a lot of that reputation and faith in the reserve list when they reprinted beta as Magic 30 in a weird altered version of things. But not only do they lose a lot of faith in whether or not they'll reprint the reserve list, a lot of older entrenched collectors, buyers, dealers, what have you, players, they left the game, and these people aren't supporting the reserve list anymore. Like I said, there was a floor for older stuff. There's people supporting that floor, right? With MTG 30, there was less people supporting a floor, so less people, of course, they have less money, so that floor comes down. Because there's like a market cap over. That's a whole nother issue, the market cap. We'll talk about that another day. The modern print schedule is having a major effect with how much and how often people interact with older cards. When will you have time for older cards when they're just cramming all this crazy stuff into your head? And it's like, yo, I could get in on, I don't know. Let's use an example from last year. I could have gotten in on Lord of the Rings Special Edition, Holiday Edition for $250, right? It was pretty decent for a while. Anyway, that's now $1,000. So you 4x your money, right? You buy, let's say a raw. Let's use one of my favorites, Serendipity, and it gets a 9. Maybe you get 25% return on your money, maybe 50% if you're lucky. You know, it's a crapshoot right now. Beforehand and back in the day, especially, there used to be a big price jump in terms of what you would do when it comes to buying and selling and grading Magic cards. But now that market is flooded with a lot of examples, so prices again have come down. So previously, when we would see surges with reserve lists and older cards, it was in times when like Magic was experiencing a lull, when it was kind of like a depression, an age in Magic where people were like, oh, these new sets are garbage and blah, blah, blah. You know, people would turn to the older cards. But we just don't have that time now. It's just constant barrage of all these new things. And look, some of them are great. Some of them are not so great. But it's just, again, the market cap comes into play. Like there's a total amount of money that can be spent on Magic cards, and when you have more products and more categories, that amount per category starts to thin out. And so when you have an option like newer sets where people are gambling on these big chase cards, or like older stuff where it's more moderate and like made more sense, yes, there's big chase cards too, but you know, the odds and stuff were a bit different, and it's kind of apples to oranges, you know. So people are addicted to this new style. So when there's a X amount that you can spend per month, per quarter, per year, and you're getting that adrenaline rush and this dopamine from cracking new stuff and hunting serials and all these other nonsense chase cards, like why would you go and open Mirage when you're likely going to get a reserve list card? But unless you hit a Lion's Eye Diamond, where's that rush coming from, you know? So anyway, this modern print schedule, I don't know if anything can be done about it at this point except like a slow, gradual decrease. And they're not going to do that because they make all the money from it. So all this is, is to say that it's going to be tough to see older Magic start to come up again. It's going to take a lot of push. And I think it's going to take new forces other than, you know, of course, when a card comes, like a new card shows up and it interacts with an old card, it's going to push that old card. Yes. I'm not talking about that type of push. I'm talking about the whole level of all the older stuff coming up. I think it's going to take like a broader market realization of how rare some of this stuff is. I know some people only collect sports cards because of the value and rarity. I know some people, it's the same thing with Pokemon, right? Pokemon's just collecting. So when it gets broader attention, like video games did in terms of media coverage and auctions and this type of stuff, maybe then it'll start to come up. Things like Post Malone helped. This summer we had the Olympics, right? And there's this runner. Oh, I forgot his name. Anyway, he's a trading card guy. He would be holding up what is that? Blue Eyes White Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, and talking about Magic cards. So it's gonna take attention like this, and that type of stuff is like unpredictable. So it's going to be interesting to see where vintage goes from here on out, because it's going to take a major shift in the regular market and attention from outside forces, which, we'll see. But some of this stuff is exceedingly rare. A lot of it's getting open now because it's cheaper. We've been doing that on my channel and on other similar channels, so it's only getting more rare, guys. Anyway, that's my ramble about what's keeping vintage down and what, if anything, will bring it back. I mean, I think it's going to be like a real realization of what actually is rare in the future. Okay. Remember to like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon. Again, we've been opening cool stuff, but we need more participants in some of these box breaks. It's not a great economy right now, so there's not a lot of participation, but we need a certain level of participation to continue. So if you're interested, check it out. Otherwise, if you're going to buy any cards today, remember to use my TCG Player affiliate link in the description. Take care. Have a lovely day, everyone. Peace.
Man. Game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?